Greetings and good evening. Welcome. So, next topic uh, should be a much quicker topic than the previous ones. Um, it's about debt management and credit scores. Um, as the title show states, kind of how to borrow smart and build your credit. Um, so, debt debt is a tool. Um, it can be a good tool, bad tool. It can help you achieve different financial goals, but as with everything, especially in the financial world, it can become an overly taxing burden if it's mismanaged. So we'll break down kind of the types of debt, strategies for managing it effectively, and how to build and maintain a strong credit score. Again, this is superficial coverage. For detailed stuff, seek a financial professional. Uh, so hopefully we can get you a better roadmap by the end of this to handling this portion of finances. So, good debt and bad debt. Um, so defining debt, maybe let's start that with the first step. Debt is money that you borrow and you must repay, usually with interest. Um, but not all debt is bad debt, and it's not equal. And again, this is just superficial understanding, right quick. Good debt, investing in your future. So mortgages, business loans are great. The other category is investing in yourself. So education, learning skills. Um, that all of this together can help you gain wealth over time. Gaining knowledge over time will help you gain wealth over time. Now, the other one that's in this category, and I know it's controversial, especially nowadays, is student loans. If you know yourself and you are targeted and you understand truly what you're getting into with student loans, then they can be beneficial in the long run. But you need to understand if it's worth it. So, student loans, some might put that in the bad debt column, but it is for furthering your education. So, if you know what you want your education to be, what your entire career path, then student loans are not as bad as people make them out to be. It's just for those people that never really fully utilize their education. That's where the student loans kind of become bad debt. So on to bad debt. Bad debt, the obvious things are high interest. Anything with a high interest. Credit cards, payday loans, car loans. For those of you who may be watching in the military, you're probably taught predatory loans. There are certain car dealerships, especially those around the military facilities or military areas. They'll give you a great deal on a car at 36, 50, even been some cases of over 100% interest rate. Okay, those loans you're never paying back. You're not. Basically anything I would say, and I don't know the calculations, I have to look it up, but anything over probably a 15%, you're not paying off, not easily, not just doing minimum payments. You're gonna have to pay 5 times. Again, I don't know the calculations. I'm just kind of being dramatic, but you're not going to do minimum payments and pay off bad debt. You're not going to pay off good debt at a minimum payment, but over time, the value of something like your mortgage and even your business loans can put you in a better spot. So, debt repayment strategies. I'm sure there's a lot out there, different ideas, different techniques. I'm only going to cover two, and these two kind of are the big picture versions of paying off. But I'm sure we can drop this to minutia if you want. But the two I'm going to focus on right now, first one is called a snowball method. So if you think about a snowball, you're going to start small. Okay, so you start with your smallest debts first. You pay those off. And then you roll, once you pay that off, now say you have 5 credit cards, okay? You take the small one, okay, you're still making minimum payments on these other 4, right? But you're taking all your excess money. All that, remember the 50, 30, 20 rule? So all your wants, you need to grab as much of that money and put it toward paying off your smaller credit card. Once that one's paid off, whatever that minimum payment plus whatever you were pulling from your wants category, you roll that into the second one. So your snowball gets bigger. And then you roll it into the third and the fourth and so on. So over time, that snowball of payments, you're able to pay off whatever debts you have. So it is the size of the debt that you're paying off. So your larger debts, say you have a $1,000 credit card, a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and $50,000. Okay, you'll start with that $1,000, pay that off, move to the 5, then the 10, 20, and 30, or 50, whatever it was. The other method is what's called the avalanche method. That one supposedly works better in the long run because you're paying off high interest rates first. So even if your high interest rate is your highest balance, paying that high interest rate over time will decrease your payments. Because if say you have just an outrageous 30% on your credit card, well, 30% over the course of a year, that adds up. That's a lot. So paying that down quickly reduces, okay, now you don't have that 30% to pay off anymore. And you roll down to, say, you have a 25 and then a 20 and a 15 and a 10. By the time you get down to those smaller numbers, you're in a much better position for paying off your debt. And you don't have those massive interest payments that you're working on. But again, in the end, you have to pick the strategy that works best for you, both financially and even psychologically. If watching that small credit card payment disappear makes you feel better, start with the snowball method. If you understand how finances work and you're disciplined enough, I'd say start with the avalanche method. But again, pick what works for you. Next, we go to credit scores. I'm sure you've heard about credit scores. You may already know about this. I'm just going to kind of cover this quickly. So your credit score is your trust score, determines your credit worthiness, your financial reputation, if you will. And your reputation, at least in the financial world, it's everything. If you don't have a good financial reputation, you're going to have difficulty borrowing. And even when you can borrow, you're the only people that are going to borrow from you are going to assume you're a credit risk, and your interest payments are going to be higher. So starting at the top, we have the excellent. That's a credit score of 750 or greater. Overall, you're going to get the best loans. That says that over time, the mathematical formula they use, that you have a long credit history, you have enough credit but you're not using all of it. So you have a lot of flexibility. You're a good candidate. They're going to give you the best scores. You might hear about some people going over 800, 820, getting better, possibly in some situations, but the overall for your credit agencies, excellent, is 750 or greater. 700, 749 is good. So you're down, you're going to get most loans, good rates, but not the best. Fair is next. That's 650 to 699 credit score. you're going to start running into problems getting certain loans, and the loans you get, you're probably going to be a higher interest rate. If your score is below 650, that's considered poor. You are an extreme credit risk. You're going to have to go through like payday loans and stay away from those. But you're going to have problems getting credit for anything, and you're going to have to work to repair your credit over time. And there's no quick fix method to this. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes discipline, it takes planning. Those agencies that claim to repair your credit score, I would do a lot of research before you ever spend your money on those agencies. I have never heard anything good about them. There may be some out there that are good, but before you do anything, do a week's worth of research on each company, because I can tell you right now, everything I've ever heard, they don't work. They don't work. There are strategies that you can use that they're going to use, but they're going to charge you to use them, and they're still not as effective as if you used them. So how can you improve your credit score? Okay, the easy thing is pay your bills on time. That's the number one thing. And time, that's where, again, this is where it takes time. You messed up your credit score. You're something in your history has messed up your credit score. It could be through a divorce, through a friend that you co-signed on a loan with, a family member, and you went delinquent because the payments weren't made. It happens, but you've got to try to mitigate all this. So pay your bills on time. That makes up about 35% of what your score is talked about. Okay, next is reduce your credit utilization. So you want to keep less than 30% of your balances in usage. So say you have a $30,000 credit card, keep it $10,000 or less. Okay, you want to keep a large portion of that completely empty. That helps your score. I know it's kind of you want to use it, but it's bad to use it. So keep a large score. Don't open too many accounts at once. So each time you open a credit card account, even opening auto loans, any kind of account that revolves on credit, puts a hard inquiry on your credit score, and every time that hard inquiry, that it lowers it. So don't have too many accounts open at once, or don't open too many in a short period of time. Check your credit score periodically. Go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So there's 3 agencies: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. You can get a credit report from them for free once a year. So what you do is every 4 months, you pick one. Do TransUnion. 4 months later, do Experian. 4 months later, do Equifax. Then 4 months later, guess what? You've already gone to your next year. So go back to TransUnion and start that process. Every 4 months, go through, pull up your credit score, and each one of the agencies will have a slightly different view of your credit score. So one of them may see something the others don't. But over the course of a year, you're going to see 3 different perspectives of what your credit score. And you can go ahead, you can do call, and if there's fraud on it, you can do a fraud alert. You can contest anything on it and start the process to fix your credit score through that. Now, the other thing that is recommended, I don't, is to keep old accounts open, because as we talked about, it's about time. How long have you had your credit history? So while that is true, if you opened an account and you've kept it open but you've never used it, and you've got a bunch of these accounts over time, yes, your credit is going to look massive. You may have several tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of credit cards or credit accounts that are open. So your credit's going to look awesome. Your score is going to look awesome based on that. The problem is somebody hacks those, gets in, they can use that account. So I personally don't follow that. But if you are really looking for ways to repair your credit, that is a possible method. Again, I don't do it. I like closing accounts as quickly as possible. I do keep enough open. But again, I've been on this planet for a very long time. I've got a very, very long credit history. I've got several decades of credit history. I'm not at risk, okay, for not getting what I want. I have a great credit score. It fluctuates, as credit scores do, but it's solid. So I don't have a problem with that. If you're young and you're building your credit score, some of this stuff you may have to do until you get to the point where I am. And it's going to take time. You're going to take patience. And if you have to go back and repair your credit score, some of this stuff you may be going back to square one to do some reparations. So common traps to avoid. Minimum payments. Okay. Don't just make minimum payments. Unless, as we talked about with the the snowball and avalanche methods, if you have a plan and that part of your plan is, as I'm talking about, if you had 5 credit cards and you're trying to pay them off, well, for 4 of them, go ahead and make the minimum payments. It sucks. They're not going to get paid off. But you want all of your extra money going to that 5th card, whether that's using your snowball method and paying off the smallest credit card, or whether you're using the avalanche and paying off the highest interest rate. These 4 minimum payments. Have that just auto pay, and then just every bit of spare money you have, chunk it into the other one. But don't just pay off, don't just pay minimum on all of them. You're never going to get them paid off. That's kind of the catch a lot of these credit companies are getting people in, is you've got a certain credit score or a certain interest rate, and they figure, okay, if they pay minimum credit scores, it's going to take them 20 or 30 years to pay it off. And I have a few statements I've seen lately, and I love the fact that they're doing this, is they will show you at minimum payments how many years it will take to pay it off. So if you're getting those statements like that, pay attention to those numbers and understand, okay, if I pay minimum payments, it's going to take me 25, 30 years to pay this off. Don't pay minimum payments. Payday loans, stay away from payday loans. I go back to my previous lesson on emergency savings, emergency funds. Start there. Stay away from payday loans. I mean, we're talking, I've being in the military, retired military, I've had too many kids that get into that trap, too many families that get into that trap, because the military doesn't get paid very well. And people just trying to live above their means, and it gets ugly. Stay away from payday loans. Those are, the way they will tell you is that they are designed to be paid off within like a week. Okay, nobody ever does that. Okay, if you're going for a payday loan, people that go for payday loans are desperate. And these predatory lenders know this. They're going to take advantage of you. Stay away from payday loans. I can't emphasize that enough, because the interest rates there, because of how they do it, they are allowed to charge much, much higher because of how it's written up. But don't do payday loans. Stay away from them. As I alluded to earlier, something that can hurt your credit is if you co-sign on a loan with a friend or family member and they don't pay on it, or they miss a payment. Well, guess who also? I mean, they miss a payment, it hits their credit score. Guess who else gets a hit on their credit score? You do. So you need to know 200% that the person that you're co-signing for is a very, very trustworthy person. Okay? Don't just co-sign a friend or family member unless you know they have the funds and that they are responsible. It'll go against your credit score, and then you're going to be in a bad place as far as your credit score goes. So be very careful with that, and definitely don't ignore your debt. It's there. It's not going away. You're not getting it written off. There are services that say they will help you get it written off. I don't trust them. I wouldn't. If you are in such dire straits that you need to find a way completely out of your debt, you're looking at some sort of bankruptcy, go talk to a professional. Go talk to a lawyer. Figure something out. But don't just ignore it. Especially nowadays, electronically, it's not going away. You're not going to have a Fight Club moment where, they blow up the buildings and all credit gets reset to zero. That's not happening. Again, this lesson was just kind of a quick tutorial, a quick kind of overview. Hopefully you are aware enough about this that this lesson you were like, I don't need to know this. I know enough about this. Then that's good. I'm happy for you. But for those that don't, pay attention to your credit score and be careful of getting into debt. Your debt can be a powerful tool, as I talk about with mortgage and some other, like your education. But if it's not working to better you, a new car is not bettering you. So that's one to watch out for. Now, if you need transportation, you need transportation. You can't get away from that. But be aware and be smart about how you do that, how you use your debt. Some places, when you go for a job, they will run a credit report. If your credit is below a certain point, they may or may not hire you, especially like in the government, the military, certain positions, certain commands that are high visibility commands. If your credit score or your debt to income is below a certain point, you're not getting that position. You're not getting that job in the civilian corporate world, and you're not going to be able to transfer to certain places in the military because they require a certain debt to income to be low, and they require your credit score to be above a certain amount. So be aware of that. Have good habits. In every video so far I've done, and I'm probably going to keep harping on it, have a plan. Make a plan, have a plan, keep to the plan. If you need to adjust the plan, that's fine. Do that. Do that at the monthly meeting you are having with yourself, the monthly meeting you're having with your family, your spouse. Have that plan, pull out that plan, adjust that plan if needed, but have a plan. I think that's pretty much kind of the gist of it. I know I do kind of harp on the plan portion, but that is so big in a lot of financial things, is to have everything planned out. And your credit score, your debt to income ratio, that will matter a lot in your career, in your life. So be careful. Take care. Thank you for joining me.